Welcome to another show of Celebrate Life. My name is Gary D. Carolis, and I am your host. The focus of this program is to introduce to you the amazing lives of people that people have lived. Everyone has a story to tell, and every story is worth celebrating. If you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you know someone who might like to be a guest, please email me at celebratelife0747@gmail.com. Now, I would like to introduce you to today's guest, Paul LeClair. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Hi, Gary.
It's great to have you on the show.
I've been looking forward to it.
So tell us, where did it all start, this wonderful life you have?
My wonderful life started in Waterbury, Connecticut. My parents came from somewhere else, and I grew up in a two-bedroom apartment. And watched them try to make it in this country. And went to parochial school and then public schools. And I was a hyperkinetic kid. In fact, my diagnosis from my doctor at that time was, quote, "He's a little high-strung." And my mother's a saint. My mother was really a modern mother, because she read a kid like me and played me like a fine Stradivarius.
Wow.
She just knew, what. And as a result, there were a lot of things I didn't do. I was a bad student, for example. But I was, even in fifth grade, something had to be done. And I had a mentor who was just 3 years older than me. And he was a fabulous trumpet player. And I just adored him. And I wanted to play, and I knew I had to play, but we had no money, My father was working on the road crew. He ultimately became second selectman in charge of highways, but at that time, he was brand new.
Wow.
And up the street in Watertown, Connecticut, was a wonderful woman who owned a store there, and I will never forget her, even now, 91 years later, 88 years later. Her name was Mrs. Sylvia Pintoff. And I want to portray her. She was a regal woman who stood so strong and beautiful. She had black hair and a black bun, and she was just so classy. And my mother was telling her, I was Paulie at that time. My mother was saying to Sylvia Pintoff, he wants to play like Ernie. We don't have any money. She said, tell Paulie to come and see me. So Mom came home, and she said, Mrs. Pintoff would like to see you. I said, okay. And I was like, good, I'll get to see her son, Ernie. And
Ernie, the one that...
Ernie was my mentor.
Yeah, okay.
Who ultimately, by the way, won an Academy Award 40 years later in Hollywood. And he was in an apartment too. And she said, I understand you want to play an instrument. And she was with that wonderful, beautiful Jewish accent. It was just wonderful. And I said, yeah, I would like to. I'd like to play like Ernie. She said, well, Ernie's a trumpet player, and I don't have a trumpet, but my oldest son has a clarinet. I would like to give it to you. And this is why I'm saying this for my whole life.
Yes.
I said, well, I don't know. I guess I'd like a clarinet. And she said, well, try it and see. And I said, well, how can I thank you? She said, like this, when you give your first recital, you'll invite me.
Okay.
Setting the whole thing up. And that set my entire life as a musician.
Wow.
Because, there was hope, and there was faith, and there was the clarinet.
Wow.
And I took it and started playing.
Wow.
And I started playing and played all through high school, where I did very little homework.
Wow.
I just played.
You played.
And so I went along, a kid in an apartment.
Yeah.
Well, most of my friends had houses. We lived in an apartment on Main Street.
Yep.
But so did Mrs. Pintoff. The only difference was we rented the apartment. They owned the apartment house. But beside of that,
okay.
They were wonderful. So I went along, and Mom found a teacher for me, and he was very, very nice. He taught at the Taft School in Watertown, which was a prep school. So I go for my lessons. Now, number 2 came along in my life. Ernie said to me one day, you know, you're playing pretty well now. This was, I believe, 7th grade.
And Ernie, who was Ernie?
Maybe 6th grade. He said, and Ernie had found a teacher, a trumpet player. And his name, I'll never forget again, Mr. Dominic Perillo, who was a person who came to Waterbury, Connecticut, escaping Mussolini, and ended up in Waterbury, Connecticut. And we were in Watertown, which is 15 minutes away.
Okay.
And I said, well, he's a trumpet player. I'm a clarinet player. He says, no, he will teach you phrasing. I said, okay, I'll go. Well, Mr. Perillo, turns out, was first trumpet of the Neapolitan Opera Company Orchestra.
Wow.
And was also a professor of music at the Naples Conservatory. And here I was, this kid.
Yep.
I think it was 6th grade. I think it was 6th grade. And he knew all the clarinet books that I would need if I were in the conservatory in Naples.
Oh my goodness.
And so he brought me through all the great clarinet methods. And he didn't have to play them to demonstrate.
Yeah.
He sang them in solfege. You know, do re mi fa sol la ti do and all that.
Yeah.
He sang them. And so in 7th grade, I was doing, if there are any clarinet players watching, I was doing Cavallini and Gambaro and Cropch and the Mozart. And it was just fantastic. It was just wonderful.
Jeez.
And he used to talk with his hands and talk with his eyes. And,
Good Italian.
and it actually made me think later in life of something. As a teacher, I always used to think that you can't just teach information. It has to be experiential too. Otherwise, you're not really teaching.
Right.
And he set that for me,
Yes.
that mental set.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went along and played clarinet and went to see Mr. Perillo and did my gambaro and all the stuff. And in 8th grade, going into high school, going into 9th grade, or my freshman year in high school, a new musician came to Waterbury, Connecticut. And he had played studio work in New York. He went to Juilliard, studied with the greats at Juilliard, and he wanted to get out of New York and have a more, regular life.
Yes.
So he bought a building and created a music studio, and I started studying with him. So then, I was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Then I went from Mr. Perillo to, we called him Mickey, Mr. Michael Trentolange, to this clarinet, saxophone, oboe, bassoon player who did studio work in New York. And here I am in Waterbury, Connecticut,
Wow.
studying from these people.
Wow.
And see, Waterbury, Connecticut in the 1940s and into the 50s, for a kid, it was like growing up in New Orleans.
Right.
Because the musicians were there. And of course, in those days, you didn't have quartets and rock country. There was no rock. But there were big band jobs.
Exactly.
And the band leaders were people who invested money in the arrangements. And you could buy all the arrangements. Glenn Miller and Count Basie, you could buy them all.
Ellington and all.
And so Mickey saw to it, this kid, me, got hired.
Really?
And so Friday nights, usually, I played a job. And
how old were you? Maybe 12, 13? 13.
13. Maybe 14. And so I lost my train of thought. So anyway, we played
Friday
jobs.
night. Yeah. How much did you make on a Friday night playing?
Oh, I don't know, $5. But this is 1950.
Right.
And we played jobs, and I had to take my knocks. I'd get there because they were all adults, and many of them really, really good musicians.
They saw.
And like they'd say things like to Mickey, you brought that kid again. What are you doing to us? And I have to take it because you had to take it.
Exactly.
And I did.
And you probably showed them that you could do it too.
Well, I did play fairly well. So anyway, I went along, and I remember I had to have a blue suit. if you're in the union, you played a union job.
Right.
The dress was a blue suit, white shirt, dark tie.
Gotcha.
My mother said, where am I going to get the money for a blue suit? It was still only 19, well, I graduated grammar school in 40, it was still 1949,
Yeah.
so not far from the war.
Yeah.
So we saved, and I got my blue suit, and I played jobs with all these adults, you know.
Wow.
And
What was that like for you, Paul? I mean, what was that like for you to be amongst all these?
it was like, oh my God.
And what were some of the songs you'd play in the big band?
All the Glenn Miller things, you know, In the Mood, and
Yeah.
Moonlight Serenade, and the Count Basie things, and Claude Thornhill, and Tommy Dorsey, and Jimmy Dorsey. They had all these arrangements.
Wow.
And the library was this thick.
Wow.
And so you go and you sit down, and the leader, well, he also played too. He might say, you know, 3, 24, 18. And you pull out number 3, 24, and 18. And that's what you do. You'd play them one after another.
Wow.
And
Now, one of those, Glenn Miller had a lot of nice clarinet solos.
all the Glenn Miller, In the Mood. And
Did you do the solos in those?
not at that time, because I was playing second tenor, because he
Okay.
was playing first. The way it's set up is it's first alto, second tenor, third alto, fourth tenor, baritone sax.
Right. Oh, so you had
So I
switched
played
to
the second
saxophone
tenor.
at
Yeah, I
this
played
point.
sax.
So you had clarinet,
And-
and then you went to saxophone?
And then
Alto?
tenor.
Tenor, okay.
Well, I suppose I could tell you that story too, because I have a saxophone that's so rare. It's a song. In those days, the great musicians like Sonny Rollins and Coleman Hawkins, and not
Right.
Lester Young, but a lot of them, they all played Selmer.
Right.
And at that time, in 1930s, my Selmer was called the Selmer tenor sax model number radio improved. And they all played them because I've looked them up. So I thought I'd call later years to see who had my tenor before me, because I know he got it for me in a pawn shop or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And Selmer didn't know. And they would thank me for letting me know where this one was.
Huh.
They only made 700, and mine was one of many that they didn't know where it was.
Oh, my goodness.
So I have this beautiful sax
Jeez.
with the handmade designs on it and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
But that was another thing Mickey did, see?
Wow.
So I went through high school playing, not doing homework. Horrible student, horrible.
And you would practice every day, Paul?
4 hours a day, every day.
4 hours a
After
day.
school, right away.
Wow.
Had to.
Had to, okay.
And so anyway, 4 years went by, and I played my jobs and played my clarinet. I got, later after I got out of college, there was a symphony in Waterbury, Connecticut, the Waterbury Symphony. I became first clarinet of that for 3 years. And Mickey also got me these gorgeous set of Selmer clarinets. So I bounced along. My mother probably wondering,
What's my son
what are
doing?
we going to do with this kid? And I was a good kid. I didn't get in trouble or anything.
Right.
I just didn't do
The music
certain
took
things.
you off the streets, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, no thoughts. Then my mother, my brilliant Irish mother, we were up at 7 in the morning, and Pop was getting ready to go to work. And in Watertown, Connecticut, there are factories, the knitting mill and another one, Princeton Knitting Mill. And the whistle blew at 7 o'clock in the morning. And my mother said, well, this time next year, you'll be off with your lunch to go to work. And I suddenly said, no, I'm not going to do that. What are you talking? But then I realized how smart she was, because the more I thought about it, I said, by God, she's right. What am I going to do? I can't get...
You had graduated.
Well, now that same time, another person came into my life, and I blame myself for not doing it, but I give them credit because I did anything. The principal called me in one day. Oh, what did I do now? And I came in, and he started out by saying, well, Mr. LeClair. I said, oh my God, Mr. LeClair, what did I do? And he said, you know, and I still remember him, Mr. Cooke, your father is by then Pop was second selectman. He had worked his way up to second selectman in charge of highways.
Wow.
And he said, your father is very well recommended. He said, so I'm going to recommend you for college. Why, I don't know. but I am. And he said, and the exam for UCONN is whenever it was in 4 weeks. I expect you to go. And I said, well, thank you. And he says, well, that'll be all. And I started out the door, and he says, and by the way, after you graduate from college, don't come back. So,
Okay.
that early stage of my life is, in a nutshell, I went off to college.
So you passed that exam,
I passed the exam.
and then off to...
Well, there's another part of the story. I didn't do homework, but I did a lot of reading. I'd stay up in the middle of the night until 2 in the morning reading. I tried to read anything they told me I was too young to read. So, you know.
Wow.
And
Where would you get the books, Paul?
we go to the library, and
Yeah.
you know, I was reading Hemingway. I read Tolstoy, and I didn't understand it all, but I read it because somebody told me I shouldn't. And then I got interested in the Summa Theological, and at one point, about 12th grade, I had gone through all the Summa, and I loved it. I loved the fact that I was hurting to try to understand it. See? But anyway, that's the only intellectual thing. I mean,
Right.
It's another blessing I got through school.
Right.
So I took the exam, and oddly enough, went to college, to the UCONN branch. I couldn't go to main campus because we had no money. And I had to earn it all. I earned my clarinets. I got a job doing construction in the summers. And I finally became a student about the second semester of my junior year. I actually got on honor roll. Before that, it was just the same old stuff.
Getting through it. And,
Yeah. And I ended up coming back to Watertown, Connecticut, of all things, as a teacher. You know, and I was in vocal music, and I was an instrumentalist, so I was really no good. I mean, I was not worth the salary. But it was a wonderful learning experience, you know. So there for 2 years, then a miracle came into my life. I was sitting in the teacher's room, still not knowing what am I going to do with myself. Here I am, what was I by now, 26 maybe, right? I've been through college, maybe 22, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in the teacher's room, first day of school, I can't stand this. I'm not doing any good here. I'm no good. In walks the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Guess who it was?
Your future wife.
And she was wearing Capezio shoes, silk stockings, a beautiful blue dress, buckled, and short hair. And when she walked in, I didn't say it. I knew it. She's mine. And so I didn't have the nerve to ask her out, because she had gone to Albertus Magnus, and I was just UConn, but she was private school and Dominican. And what I didn't know, which we found out later, was she was hanging out in the basketball games thinking I was an athlete to meet me.
No kidding.
And so finally, the faculty had a night out, and I don't remember what the reason was, but they went out to dinner, and I finally had the nerve to ask her if she'd go with me. You know, like...
Right, nervous.
She said yes. Well, I said, this is it. After the dinner was over and everybody was going, and they had a jukebox there, and there was a dance floor. And they were starting to close up, and I went to the owner, and I said, would you just keep this place open 20 minutes more just for us?
Oh.
And he said, well, I said, just 20 minutes, and turned down the lights. And he said, okay. And so for 20 minutes, it was the two of us dancing, and then she was mine. Isn't that crazy?
It's a great story. What was she teaching? What was her job?
She was in social studies and history.
Okay.
She was, Kath was so intelligent that, she graduated with 2 degrees in 4 years.
Wow.
And there wasn't anything like when our kids grew up. Our daughter, one of our daughters would ask, Mary would ask once in a while, called because she was away at college. I said, "Oh, how you doing?" She says, "I need to talk to Mom." They'd ask her all kinds of questions, and it didn't matter, see, because Kath had an IQ in the stratosphere. I believe it was about 130. And no matter what they asked her, she had the answer. One day they even tried to find some obsolete fact to call and ask Mom that, just to see what she'd say, and she'd have the answer. So anyway, we didn't know what to do, and we were dating, and we didn't tell anybody. And then another person came into my life. And I really believe this. I wouldn't have done, without these people, I personally would not have done anything. And Kath had said to me, we have to go see my aunt. I said, okay. She said, well, her aunt was a nun in Torrington, Connecticut. And she said, now, we're just going to sit and have cookies and donuts, and it'll probably go on and on and on. I said, okay, so we'll go on and on. That's no problem. So we get there, and we're talking, and another sister came in. Her name was Sister Grazia. And she was maybe 4 feet tall. You know, she was just, and there was something about her, and she kept calling me Horace. And I said, no, that's Paul, sister. And she said, well, what are you going to do now with yourself? And she had these eyes. I knew she was not just a normal fourth grade. You knew.
Right.
You know, she was just.
Yeah.
Well, what I didn't realize was that in the summer, she was professor of education at Catholic University.
Huh.
Now you see the.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'd like to go, I'm trying to figure out how to go. Oh, I had my master's then. I had gotten a master's in between. And I want to try to go and see if I can get a doctorate. She said, you need to go to Catholic U. And it was the same thing, you know, when you, so she said, I'll give you the address and everything. I'll go write it down. You called the dean and go down and meet him. There's another one of these things where I knew you better do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course I did.
Yeah.
And then we finally got engaged, and everybody knew then, see? And then talk about, if my kids had done this, I thought it would be crazy. Neither one of us had jobs. We quit our jobs, and off we went to Catholic U. And she had applied, and she immediately got a job.
Okay.
And so I started another phase of our life.
Wow. So you were going for your Ph.D. Was she enrolled in school too?
No, she got a job teaching in the school system.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, it's really amazing. She was told, 11 months later, I had finished my first year of residency. I needed a second year.
Yep.
11 months later, along came Helen, our first daughter. And Kath was told that after the 3rd month of pregnancy, she couldn't teach anymore because they don't like it to be seen. Isn't that crazy?
My goodness.
So here I was going to school, and here she was without a job. And of course, she was going to go to school, and then I'd fit.
Right.
So my 3-year goal for my degree suddenly became maybe 4 years.
Right.
So then I said, what are we going to do? And I was talking with the dean at the School of Music at Catholic. And he said, come and see me tomorrow morning. And I came back tomorrow morning. She said, how's your wife at organizing and everything? I said, pretty good. She said, well, tell her if she wants it tomorrow, she can go work in the registrar's office. They need somebody in the office to run the office. And off she went to work, and I continued with my studies.
Wow.
So, okay, it'll be 4 years.
Yep.
Except that about another 11 months later, along came John. Good, you know.
Yep.
And so that became, 6 years? But then she couldn't work anymore. You'll never guess. It almost sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm not.
No,
it's real life.
Yeah.
I had to work, but I had another year of residency to do. How am I going to do it? Dr. Paul, the dean, came in and said, I think there'd be a nice place in the District of Columbia for you. He said, I want you to go see, I forgot his name now, go see so-and-so and tell him that I sent you and that you'd like to teach instrumental music, but you'd like to teach at Deal Junior High School. And I'll tell you about Deal in a minute. And he said, tell them if they offer you another school, tell them, I think I can do the best for Deal.
Okay.
I said, that sounds kind of arrogant. But I listened to him because
Yeah.
he saved all our lives many more times. So I went and I said that because he tried to put me somewhere else. Do you know the schools at all in D.C.?
I know this. I know D.C. quite well, but I don't know.
You see, there were prep schools, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of presidents send their kids to one of the many known private prep schools.
Right.
But there were very influential, powerful, and wonderful people who preferred to send their kids to public schools.
Right.
And they were in Northwest Washington, up
Okay.
by Chevy Chase.
Right.
And so that's where the power was, but that's where the resources were, and that's where the demands for good teachers were, and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I became the instrumental music director at Alice Deal Junior High School. Now, Alice Deal Junior High School is where Warren Buffett went to school.
Huh.
That's where Margaret Truman chose to go to school. And in my band, the science guy,
Dr. Oz?
you know who I mean, he was just on television with The Launch.
Oh.
Bill Nye.
Yes.
Bill Nye was in my clarinet class,
Wow.
and in the band. Mm-hmm. And this was a junior high school that had a science department that was unbelievable, English teachers that were fantastic. Everything was just
My goodness.
absolutely tremendous. The people were fantastic. And that school, every 4 years, got a share of the instruments that were recycled from the bands, the President's Own, the Marine Band, and the Navy Band.
Right.
And they came to places like Alice Deal Junior High School. So we had fabulous instruments, fabulous music.
Wow.
And so I had this job. And all I had to do, and that school, a junior high school,
Junior high.
had 2 bands and 2 orchestras.
I was going to ask you about, tell me about each of them. So you had what kind of bands were it? Big bands? Like?
Yes, it was, a 90-piece concert band.
And a 90-piece?
With almost 100% of the students studying with somebody, either the Marine Band, the National Symphony Orchestra, the Navy Band, somebody. They were all studying privately.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
so you really conducted. You didn't have to. It was a conducting job. In fact, one of my students, her name was Karen Schaefer. She's still, she must be retired now. She was a cello player. I kept up with her all her life. And she went on to go to Indiana and became a cellist with the Montreal Symphony.
Wow.
And I touched bases with her 30 years later.
Wow.
And one of them became a flutist in a chamber orchestra in New York. Well, they all.
Wow.
But to give you an idea what the school was like, there was one young man, he played oboe in my group. He came in to me one day and he said, Miss LeClair, I'd love to have you see my science project. He was in 8th grade. I said, oh yeah, I'd love to. He said, well, when you get through on your free part, would you come up and see it? I said, well, what are you doing? What did you do for science? He said, well, I did an astronomical spectroscopy and it's going very well. Well, that's what it was like.
Oh, my God.
Those were the kids.
So these are the brightest of the bright. And
They really were.
Wow.
It took a change with integration because it was handled so badly. But nevertheless, when I left, it was still Deal Junior High School. So I actually have something in common with all people with Warren Buffett. We have Deal Junior High School.
That's amazing.
He was there about 10 years before I came there, maybe.
Okay.
He's or whatever.
Yeah.
15 years.
Wow.
So let's see. I taught there for 10 years
10
until
years.
1970.
Wow. And where did you live?
We had a townhouse in Silver Spring.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, I was there for the president's assassination, and I was there for Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy's. There were times when you thought the world was coming to an end.
Right.
And when Martin Luther King was assassinated, we would look out of our window up in Silver Spring and see this glow coming from D.C. It looked like the whole city was on fire. I mean, it was it was the end of the world.
Riots, yes.
So anyway, we got to the point where I was writing my dissertation, and again, here I was wondering what I was going to do next. See?
Mm-hmm.
So,
What did you write your dissertation on?
pardon?
What was your dissertation on?
That was another thing. I didn't know what to write on. We lived, hand to mouth.
Yep.
Dr. Paul again said, I think you ought to go down to the Library of Congress, go to the music division, and see if they had any collections of the Marine Band. Okay. Well, when Dr. Paul said it, you did it.
Yep.
So I went down. And of course, there was a collection. It was the Francis Scala Library of the Marine Band in Lincoln's administration.
Oh, my goodness.
All handwritten.
Oh, my God.
And so I started looking at it with the idea of writing a dissertation about the music and what it sounded like and all that. Mm-hmm. And of course, I soon found out it wasn't enough. But there was also an opera season in D.C. back in Lincoln's time, and there was theater. And as we know, he went to the theater.
Right.
And so it wasn't a great dissertation, but it was a dissertation written by somebody who had no money to do anything else. And I had another break, and we finally finished. I didn't finish the dissertation until I got the St. Mike's. Well, it was a wonderful job. I mean, I could have stayed in D.C. and not been unhappy at all.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like standing in front of 90 adolescent people. In those days, we measured IQ. Now it's different. The lowest IQ in that band was a kid of 118.
The lowest IQ?
Lowest IQ.
My gosh.
They were smart. I had one kid who tried to trick me. I had to do cafeteria. I did have to do that. And I saw him making little whistles out of straws. And he put it aside and did one of a different. Well, I found out that he was going to play them in my rehearsal to catch me. See? And so he knew all the keys and everything ahead of time.
Goodness.
I didn't hear it.
Uh-huh.
But I knew he was doing it, so all I had to do was watch him. And when he'd do something like that, I'd stop, and then I'd fake it.
Right.
I said, "No, what do I hear? What do I hear?" And of course, he just thought I was a genius, and I didn't hear it at all. But those are the place. If you teach in a place like that, you either have to learn something, or you're just not going to make it.
Right.
And they won't fire you; the kids will.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, when you conducted those bands in the junior high, did you play as well to show the kids how to play different?
Not too much in junior high school. I didn't keep up with my horn that much. I did at St. Mike's. I always demonstrated, especially in jazz ensemble, and I actually brought it back after we got to St. Mike's. But no, you didn't have to there because every one of them is studied privately.
Wow.
You had to be able to vocalize what it is you wanted.
Right.
Right. But they knew, you see, because
they had been studying. Jeez.
So I had one girl, Bianca Mason, and she was the cutest thing you ever saw. And I look over at her and she'd stick her tongue out at me. and she played cello. Uh-huh. And she'd be there with the tongue. Well, her sister was Jimalou Mason, who did the bust of John F. Kennedy that is in the Kennedy Center.
Oh, sure.
And her father was a wonderful man named Judge Lowell Mason. And he was reported to be in Harry Truman's Marching and Chowder Society, which was a bunch of them sitting around drinking bourbon and playing poker.
Okay.
And Judge Mason would come to our concerts, which were 50 cents, and put down a $50 bill.
Wow.
And he actually wrote a book. Had a pub. I have it home. He gave me one. He gave me an autographed copy to me from Judge Mason, which was really thrilling. So we got to know all kinds of people.
Wow.
All kinds of students.
Wow.
And some are like a couple. Even from then, I still know about.
Jeez.
Mostly I know about the students from St. Mike's, and that's a whole other
We're going to get to that.
That's a whole other thing. So why don't...
So after you got,
ask
so
me a
you were
question.
10 years into that job, and then
Yep.
something happened that made you move on.
Well, I had to, I was writing the dissertation. We had to start thinking about the future. I couldn't just go on being a student. And so I was in the music department. And on the bulletin board was a notice about that big, a little notice. I was thinking, now, why would anybody put a notice on the bulletin board that was so small you couldn't see it?
Right.
Which, of course, drew me to seeing it.
Right.
So it was really quite smart. And it just said, I don't know, it said assistant professor needed music, St. Michael's College, apply at such and such a number. So I came home and I said, I wonder what that'd be like. I don't know the school at all. I never heard of it.
Right.
And Kat said, oh, I've been there for a meeting of a Christian society from Alberta, see? It's just the men were wonderful. It was a men's college.
Right.
It was the men, they were wonderful. I mean, everything was wonderful. It's just a small college. I would love to go there. Why don't you see about it? And of course, I wrote and eventually auditioned. And 1970, before I knew it, we were packed up and on our way to Vermont.
Wow.
As assistant professor.
Wow.
So, and
In music.
yeah, and when I got there, it was the first year that fine arts was actually made a concentration. Before it was just some theater courses, one or two music courses, and an art teacher.
Okay.
And so I auditioned, and the dean hired me. So he said, he didn't say it in these words, but he said, let's see what you got. And so,
Yep.
so I went, and here I was teaching one course, and I didn't realize it, but part of it, they wanted me to help the chorale with their parts. Well, I didn't want to do that forever. Mm-hmm. And then I thought of the dean's words, and I said, if I'm going to stay here, I have to do something.
Right.
Have to do something. What am I going to do?
Right.
There's no music, there's no money, there are no instruments, there are no courses.
Wow. Nothing.
What am I going to do? So, first of all, I always knew that if you want a job and you want to progress, you can't go asking for more money. You have to show them you can do something.
First.
Then you can ask for more money.
Right.
Well, what am I going to do? Well, I found out there was it's crazy. There was a tenor sax and a tuba there. And one piece of music, this is true, I'm not making this up. There was one piece of music, the Mendelssohn Overture for Band, which is an enormous band. I said, well, what am I going to do with that? And I was an instrumentalist coming out of a 90-piece high school band that was playing fantastic stuff.
Right.
Junior high school band.
Right.
And so I thought about the composer Gabrielli in the Renaissance, and his brass music was fantastic. But I only had two players, a trumpet player and a tuba player. Well, Trinity College was open at that time.
Right.
So I went down to Trinity and put up a notice, would anybody like to help start a band at St. Mike's? If so, call. The 3 girls called me. And so I said, well, I'll pick you up every Tuesday night for rehearsal if you'd like, if you just commit to the semester.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, we kind of like it. I've forgotten their names now. I don't know why. So every Tuesday night, I would go down in front of the nuns and pick up my dates. It was really crazy. And we got a quintet.
Wow.
By then, we had a flute, an alto sax, a tuba, a trombone, and one other thing, and I can't remember what the other one was. And I took some of the music of Gabrielli from his masses, the brass parts, and I rewrote them, which was not a big deal, for those instruments. Because what sounds better in a chapel than Gabrielli?
Wow, yeah.
And so we played one number with the chorale. And it sounded good. And the kids were really enthused. I mean, they just thought this was the greatest thing. Of course, there was nothing before.
Right.
Well, the dean loved it. The president loved it. I loved it. It was wonderful. So I said, well. So I went to see the dean. I said, I can build you a group. I said, as you know, I said, I've conducted. I said, but I can't do it with nothing. I said, if you'll give me some money to get some instruments, I'll get you a group. Right away, he picked up the phone and authorized $1,800 for me to spend on instruments. Now, in 1970, that was a lot of money.
Right.
So I went down to Peterson's Music, which became advanced music.
Yep.
And I saw Alden Peterson. And I said, I have $1,800 to spend. Do you still give a discount for school instruments? He said, if you spend $1,800 on instruments, I'll give you 40% off.
Beautiful.
Bingo! I bought a baby tuba.
Yep.
I bought a tuba. I bought an oboe. I bought two trombones. What else did I buy? I bought a baritone sax because I wanted bass clef. I wanted alto, and I knew I would get flute players and clarinet players, but I knew I wouldn't get a baritone sax player.
Right.
So this was, I think, 73. And then I said, now I got the instruments, where am I going to get the players? So I went to admissions and I asked, what do you how do you communicate with the kids? He said, when they come here, we send them a note asking them, religious preferences and type of roommate you'd like, food preferences. And I said, would you put on the form, what instrument do you play? Not do you play an instrument, what instrument do you play? And they mailed them all out. And in August, I found out that by such a date, like August 10th or something like that, they'd have them all back.
Yeah.
So every year, for the next 35 years,
Wow.
I would go through every single member of the freshman class, and those who said they played an instrument, I would then write them a personal note.
Wow.
And inviting them to this adventure, I called it. And then I found out that on opening day, where they pay their bills and everything, the athletic department had a booth for intramurals, and everybody. So I had a booth. I called it Wind Ensemble. And so by 1975, which was the first year McCarthy Arts Center, don't want to pull myself apart again, the first year McCarthy Arts Center performed. And by then I had 21 players.
Wow.
And it was balanced instrumentation, not everything, but balanced. And so we were the pit orchestra for Babes in Arms, and we did the first student musical in McCarthy Arts Center.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and we gave a ton of performances. I think it was 11 performances.
Wow.
And it was the most exciting. I've had a couple of really exciting, marvelous adventures, one of which was, because at that time, Don and Joanne Rathgeb were building the theater department. Don't forget, we had St. Mike's Summer Theater and the whole thing.
Yep.
And so we got along like peas in a pod. And Don was Catholic U also, so we had
nice.
So I conducted the music, and we needed a vocal coach. Well, at that time, we had a girl who was really good. And I said, why don't you teach the kids the vocal, and then I'll meet with you afterwards, and I'll take notes, and I'll give you my notes, and you can look it over, and then go back and teach the kids. And so Don and Joanne, and they did the blocking and the theater and the words and the acting.
Yep.
And other people did scenery, and I had the 21 in the band, and we had 1/10 of the school population in that performance. By the time we got stage crew and and so we actually pulled that off, and we did Babes in Arms.
Wow.
And working and see the entire Fine Arts Department, and I don't know how they are now because I made a clean break, but at that time, the entire Fine Arts Department were composed of giants. We had 2 people in art who were nationally known. We had 4 people in theater, and we had now 2 here, myself and Bill Tortolano, and then we finally got another, and now it's all down to 1 again. It's all gone. But that's too bad. Those are the times in which we live.
Yes, right.
But anyway, it all started. So then, the next year, Wind Ensemble caught on mostly because of Babes in Arms. And I sent all my letters. And from that year on, I averaged about 25 new players every year.
Oh,
so that's 25 times 4 years.
Wow.
So it always evened out to around 50 players or so.
Wow.
So then, and by then, the school was sending us on alumni chapters as advertisements for the college and paying for it.
And you'd play.
And we conducted, we gave concerts.
Yeah.
And then the Wind Ensemble became also a jazz ensemble.
Wow.
See, I also did that. And it was fun. I'm not saying, all the things. I was having fun.
Yeah,
I was having the time of my life.
Right, exactly.
And right about that same time, around 75, we had a couple of kids who were there in the group, and they really wanted to teach music, but their parents and they wanted to go to a Catholic college.
Mm-hmm.
So I got thinking, by then now, because we all cooperated, we now had 4 theory courses, we now had 4 music history courses, we had 2 performing groups plus a choral group, and one of my colleagues introduced conducting. We had a program. So I went to the chair, Joanne Rathke. She said, let's go to the state of Vermont and apply for a limited certification so we can offer kids who want to come
Sure.
a music ed program. And it would be like private teaching all the way through. They accepted it.
Wow.
When we got certified for the state of Vermont, we automatically got certified nationwide.
Wow.
So we had a certified music ed program.
Wow.
We could only have, by stipulation, we could only have 2 per year. So we could only have 8, which was reasonable because you couldn't handle it anymore.
Right.
And in a way, they became my proteges. In fact, one showed up about last month at St. Mike's. I was at Mass, and she tapped on my shoulder. It was when she's now retiring from teaching.
Wow.
So now, all these things, these weren't things I did.
Yeah.
These were things that all they needed was somebody to hint, and boom, they were ready to, they were just ready to invest in it.
Amazing.
You know. And that's what St. Mike's was like.
Wow.
And I hope it's still the same. I think people are still, because it was a job made in heaven, really. It was just...
It seems like all your earlier experiences kind of culminated in your ability to start something at St. Mike's and grow it to what it was.
I guess so.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But not without the help.
Yeah.
Not without the help. So we had the music ed, we had the wind, we had the jazz, we had the courses, and in fact, theater, I forgot, what was the name of it? They won one year the American College Theater Festival prize, which meant they got to perform at Kennedy Center.
Wow.
And it had music written to it, but it wasn't, they were my kids, but I didn't direct it. But they win. So I said to Don, I've got to go. And I said, but I don't have anything to do. What can you do for me? He said, do you like to drive the truck? I said, well, I've never driven a truck. He said, well, why don't you learn? And I'll put you on as truck driver, and you'll get an expense account. And for the 4 days we're in D.C., all you have to do is get us there and get us home, and you can do whatever you want.
Fantastic.
And so I went.
That's like coming home for you.
No.
You know, going back to D.C.
Right about that time, too, thanks to Senator Leahy, actually, you had mentioned he had been on your show. How did it start? Maybe he did it. Well, we ended up getting invited to play in the Cherry Blossom. No, we played something in D.C., in the Capitol. And I know he had something to do with it. Maybe Father Harkey did too. So we actually got to play in the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And I'm conducting in the Watergate hearing room, as a matter of fact. And I'm conducting. Anyway, I did that, and the piece was over, and somebody tapped on my shoulder. And here was this wonderful woman, and she just had that something, and she said, Mr. Director, where the heck is Winooski? Well, that woman was, I forgot her first name. Well, her what was her first name? Anyway, her middle name was Beethoven, and Fisher, Marie Beethoven Fisher. She was the last living descendant of Beethoven.
Oh, my goodness.
And extremely wealthy.
Oh, my goodness.
And we talked, and it was really nice. And it was nice, and it was a wonderful thrill.
Yeah.
And then the theater department got invited to the American Theater Festival, I think 2 years later, and I had the arrogant and bright idea of inviting Maria Beethoven Fisher, of all arrogant things to do, to invite her to the play.
Yeah.
And she accepted.
Wow.
And she came and loved it.
Oh.
So, these are just wonderful.
So when you think of your life with all these amazing
Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, anyway.
of things happening for you, what would you tell the audience about how to live life and lessons that you've learned from life?
I believe that everybody gets messages. And I learned a couple of times that if you listen, you'll know whether they're... I tell everybody, you've got to be listening. Mm-hmm. You can't just not be listening, because it's going to happen to you. Not everybody gets the same. Nobody gets the same in anything in life. But I always try to listen to my intuitions, because, they say that's the way God communicates with us anyway, through intuition. So I tell people, you've got to listen. Mm-hmm. And then if something comes, you evaluate and you act on it. Mm-hmm. And it may not be right. It may be your imagination. But in my case, these things really happened.
Yeah.
And all people. And
amazing stepping stones, each one.
Yeah.
We need to close our interview shortly. Anything that you haven't said that you'd like to say?
Oh, how much time do we have? I have another third of a life. I'll summarize.
Yes.
Wave to me.
Okay.
After I retired, Kath and I decided to do all the things we couldn't do before. So we did. We went to Ireland, found my mother's house, and all the state parks. But then we were invited. We were invaded by Alzheimer's, and I took care of her. I was retired, and she had retired, and we had been and it got to the point where I couldn't do it. I couldn't anticipate. And I think it was somebody over at the medical office building who was working with Alzheimer's, and I can't remember her name, gave me a hint of a great book, which I'd love to pass on. It was called The 26-Hour Day. And I don't remember the author. And it's really a book with a lot of chapters, 25 chapters. But each chapter, as I remember it, is about a behavior or something that comes up in the course of the development of this disease.
Yep.
And I started to read it at the beginning, and I realized that's not doing it for me. But then I started using it as a reference book. So when Kath would do something, no longer able to pick up her fork or get scared or whatever, I could go to that book when necessary and get a hint as to what to do. Now, I have to mention this. At the time, Kath, I couldn't handle it. You can't. And the first thing you learn about Alzheimer's, I've been told, is you can't keep wishing them in your life. You have to join theirs. And so I said, I'm going to join hers. I'm home, and I'm miserable. I'll go be with her. And at Green Mountain, they allowed you to come anytime. If you wanted to visit at 3 in the morning, you were able to then. Didn't matter. And at Green Mountain, again, I met maybe 9 of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life. We became very close. Really close. We'd have gossip section. No, not gossip. We'd have
chit-chats. Yeah.
Chit-chats. But we came very close, like sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
And
this is the staff there?
So every morning, I'd walk a mile every morning, first thing. Then I'd go get our coffee and donut. And then we'd have our coffee and donuts, and I'd watch her smile when I walked in. And see, this is what made it sound good. It wasn't a sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to say, I sacrificed so much.
Right.
No, that's not it. And then we go for our walk in this big building we walked, and then we might start at the library and people watch. Then I thought, we've been to all these parks. Why don't I get some of these like Walt Disney books with the great big picture books?
Yep.
And by then she had forgotten we went, but when she saw the pictures, she remembered something, and we relived all those trips with the books.
Wonderful.
See? So then I'd leave and go to home and do take care of the house or rest or something. Then in the afternoon, after activities, I'd come back, and then we'd have our afternoon, which in the good weather would be a ride 3 days a week. We'd go for a ride. And then when Kath got so she couldn't hold her fork anymore, I fed her. And we ate together. And thanks to all those people, for example, 2 of them were Kath's students. I went in one day, and Kath, they were seated like students in front of her, and she was, quote unquote, teaching them. And they did things like that.
Wow.
And at one point, I actually broke my leg going there. I fell on dry ice, which I did again last year. I fell on dry ice, and I fractured this hip.
Wow.
Oh, I said, now what am I going to do? Well, I stayed at Green Mountain for 5 weeks. And they gave me a single room, and it was paid for, of course. But And so I would get up in the morning and do my exercises with physical therapy and get on my wheelchair and then go up and take care of Kath.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And there was a little alcove in the building, and it was kind of useless. It was, I don't know why it was. Well, many nights the nurses would let us go out to dinner, and we'd go to that alcove, and they'd wait on us, and we'd have dinner out.
Wow.
I mean, it was just wonderful. It was
beautiful.
And so I did that for 3 years, and one of the 2 other great moments in my life, if you have time, I'd like to tell you both of them. I came in one morning, and I saw, how you doing? This was about 4 weeks maybe before we lost her. And she said, thank you. I said, what for? She said, for you. What do you say to that? And it was just just fantastic.
That's beautiful.
So, I have one more great experience too, if you'd like it.
Yep.
When the wind ensemble got going, one of the places we played a lot was in Paramus, New Jersey. And that town, I believe, lost, I think it was 17 people in 9/11 that didn't come home that day.
Right.
So that following spring, we were asked to do another concert. We had done about 4. It was one of our favorite places. So I decided to do an all-American concert. And jazz took care of that. And in the wind ensemble, we did a piece called The Five Brothers, where all the brothers all went down in one ship in the Juno.
Yes.
And we did that. We did a Civil War suite, and we did the Navy hymn. And so many people came to that concert. Of course, we were known that they had to go to the rec hall and bring in new chairs and fill out. When the concert was over, the last downbeat, dead silence for almost 5 seconds, which is a long time.
Yes.
And then the place just burst. It was the greatest moment, the greatest performance moment besides Babes in Arms I ever had.
Wow.
It was just, and the kids were crying, the people were crying, we were all crying, and it was pure. I could tell we didn't intend anything. We just wanted to do something nice.
Yep.
But I think it
helped.
I don't know. You'd have to talk to somebody who was there, but I think it released it.
Yeah.
It did something magical.
Yeah.
And so there's
with their healing.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful story.
So
beautiful story.
Yeah.
Beautiful life, Paul.
Well, I'm very thankful.
Yes.
I mean, I'm still here.
Yes, you are. Absolutely.
Much to the chagrin of.
Thank you for sharing your life story with us.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I think
A wonderful story.